The fact that there's talk at all of James Cleverly popping up, it fills me with a bit of hope that there's actually some movement to challenge both Kemi Badenoch and Robert Jenrick. At the moment of political entropy for the Conservative Party, with polling figures collapsing and Reform UK breathing down its neck, one might imagine that unity, or at the very least strategic coherence, would be the order of the day. But no. On the eve of the Hamilton, Lark Hall and Stonehouse by-election major defeat, as the Tories prepared for what may have been their fourth place finish and proved to be the case, Sir James Cleverly launched a characteristically suave but unmistakably direct challenge to the woman who pipped him to the party leadership, Kemi Badenoch. Sir James's message was simple, measured and quite devastating. We don't need to abandon net zero to become economically credible. In fact, to do so would be to indulge in what he calls neo-Ludditism, or neo-Luddism, a retrograde, anxious suspicion of green innovation. Badenoch, by contrast, has cast net zero as a fiscal delusion, warning that it will bankrupt the country and wreck living standards. But here's the real story. Cleverly is not simply talking about carbon, he's talking about character, about tone, about strategy, about the future of the Conservative Party. Most importantly, he's issuing a challenge, not just to a policy, but to a person. Cleverly's speech to the Conservative Environment Network is a clinic in rhetorical jiujitsu. Never once does he name Badenoch, but he undermines her platform completely. He says her net zero is impossible. He says net zero is in fact essential. She calls it ruinous. He calls it an opportunity for British intervention. She says it drags us backwards. He says rejecting is what truly drags us back. To borrow a phrase from Oscar Wilde, it's the unmasking of a poseur. But Kemi Badenoch will not see it that way because she cannot afford to, because of arrogance in this case. Arrogance is not an affliction, it's a form of armour, it's a form of protection when you don't have anything else. First, because she believes the future lies not with consensus but with conflict. She's styled herself as the anti-elite, anti-woke, anti-net zero insurgent. The very personification of genuine conservatism is anti. She's got nothing to stand for. She's got lots to stand against. Farage claims the Tories are abandoned. She will not pivot because her entire leadership is a performance of strength, and strength, in her view, means never backing down, always pushing up against the wall. Second, because she sees James Cleverly as yesterday's man, a courteous soldier from the Sunak era. She beat him once. She believes she can outmaneuver him again. To Badenoch, Cleverly's intervention is a ghostly echo of a leadership contest she already won. The fact that he has ideas, good ones, is irrelevant. He lost, she won, game over. Nobody's listening to anyone other than Kemi Badenoch. Third, and most fatally, because she is too ideologically invested in reaction, net zero is not merely an economic debate for her. It's a culture war proxy, a chance to bash the metropolitan elite, to portray herself as the guardian of working-class sanity against environmental fanatics. Never mind that these so-called fanatics include Baroness May, Lord Goldsmith, Alok Sharma, or indeed Boris Johnson. For Badenoch, the division isn't policy-based, it's tribal. Moderation, optimism, innovation, the language of progress over purity. His argument is deeply conservative in the old-fashioned sense, practical, empirical, proud of British ingenuity. The United Kingdom, he says, has a proud history of innovation. We can lead again, this time in green technology. There's no scorched earth thinking here, no flirtation with Farageism, just the steady hand of a man who believes the party's salvation lies not in imitation, but in defining the difference. Alas, no, it won't work, not yet. Badenoch is not for listening. I won't listen. Her refusal to acknowledge internal criticism is not a bug in her leadership. It's the operating system. For all the talk of party unity, she governs not through unity, but through defiance. She seizes every opportunity to demonstrate that she is her own woman, beholden to no one, not to her cabinet, not to her MPs, and certainly not to the likes of James Cleverly. And so we end with this paradox. Sir James Cleverly has made a profoundly conservative case. rooted in realism, growth and good governance. It's a strategy that might even save the party. But it will be ignored, not because it's wrong, but because it's weak. But because it comes from the man who refused to genuflect, and because it requires a kind of humility that Kemi Badenoch, for all her intelligence and drive, seems constitutionally incapable of mustering or recognising. The tragedy is that Cleverly's speech will be celebrated everywhere but within his own party. Labour will applaud it, the SNP will seize on the division, and Farage, he'll simply grin because the Conservative Party once again is tearing itself apart, and the captain refuses to look down even as the iceberg scrapes the hull. Glug, 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 Kemi.